I'm Derek Gilbert with a special 5 and 10 update from Skywatch TV. As I'm recording this on Friday afternoon, just a few moments ago, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced that he is suspending his campaign as an independent candidate for president, suspending his campaign and throwing his support behind Donald Trump. This speech, he said, was prompted by his recognition that President Trump is more aligned with his goals in three key areas. Number one, ending the forever wars in which the United States is involved, specifically and especially the war in Ukraine. Number two, the war on free speech launched by the American government, what he called the censorship industrial complex, a term we've used on 5 and 10 here over the past 6 months or so, run by the Department of Homeland Security and aimed at shutting down alternate voices that don't echo the official narrative coming from inside the Beltway. And number three, a war on health. He believes that the United States is suffering from an epidemic of chronic health issues that stem from poor nutrition, overprocessed foods, and toxic chemicals in our food and our medicines. And President Trump was willing to speak with him, found that their goals in these specific issues are very much in alignment, whereas Kamala Harris refused an invitation to even meet with or speak with Mr. Kennedy. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suspending his campaign for president. He says he's going to remain on the ballot in states where his presence on the ballot would not affect the outcome one way or the other. For example, in our home state of Missouri, it's almost surely going to vote for Donald Trump in the November election. States like California, New York, Illinois, almost certainly going to go for Kamala Harris. But the battleground states, 10 of them he identified, those probably states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, where his 3 or 4% in the polls might pull enough votes from President Trump to swing the election and those electoral votes, and thus the election to Kamala Harris. He is in the process of removing his name from the ballots and encouraging his supporters in those states to vote for Donald Trump. His speech, just on a personal level, was impassioned. He got choked up at one point in talking about how he feels called to campaign to save the future generations by reversing this trend of ill health, obesity, childhood diabetes, and things of this nature that afflict the current generation of Americans, things that were almost unknown 70 years ago when he was born, 100 years ago when our grandparents walked the earth. He was choked up. In fact, a tear ran down his face. I believe he was sincere in this. And he believes that Donald Trump will work towards those ends. He hinted at a possible role in a Trump administration, but didn't say anything specifically. We'll wait and see if something like that turns out. But again, a very consequential speech. I would say one of the most, if not the most substantial in terms of talking actual policy instead of talking down other political candidates that I have ever heard in my 62 years on this planet. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. suspending his candidate for president, throwing his support to Donald Trump. We'll have more to say on this Monday on 5 and 10. I'm Derek Gilbert with a special update from Skywatch TV.